Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again. Today, there's an old deer stand over there. It's not I didn't build it. As I mentioned, I gave you details on the previous video today. So here is my little dozens of acres of property as far as you can see with your eyes, the horizon. That is the, as I call it, sanctuary, but sanctuary as in a sacred place, a place between absolute and garbage. That is what we have in this world so far. So what do we have now? I have a few subjects about how the West operates. Remember, we were taught since childhood that the West is the best. Capitalism, democracy, freedom of speech, free people, and everybody else is shackled by tyrants. With time, with the help of internet, that is their biggest enemy, the internet. They lost it, but they want to gain power again. Why? Because the internet opened up the way of exposing the world or the truth not only through the lenses of the big media, which had a monopoly on it. They could build or destroy a cause, an idea, a person, a party, a country, just because they had the monopoly. They didn't have to have the monopoly 100%. They could have it 60%, and that is enough. You don't need more than 60%. And they had it not only through the big, 3, 4, 5 really channels, media channels, but those media outlets, they owned in other countries the biggest channels over there as well. So those guys were parroting what these guys were ordering, or at least the same party line. So first, I will give you the example of Hungary. I will give you the example of Lithuania. I will give you an example of Czech Republic. And all these things, I think, will come, and Trump and the media in the United States of America. By the way, Donald Trump will have his own coin, $1 coin, with his face, fight, 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 and all that. I will show you a picture of it. I got my CC iPad here ready for you. So let's start with Hungary. In capitalism, we are told that, or in a capitalist system, we are told that it's a free market economy. That means competition, and I'm all for it. The problem is there's no competition. The competition is among us here, the baboons. We live in a jungle. They live in a socialist, oligarchic organization, let's put it this way, where their rules of conducting capitalism is very much arranged, spoken. We fight like crazy, but they have something else. So, Hungary. Hungary is buying Russian gas, and I think Russian oil as well. One of the last bastions of independence. I'm talking about resource independence. Hungary has no natural resources, so it needs the Russian cheap gas, and in this case, coming from Druzhba pipeline and others. Nevertheless, through a Tursk stream from south, from the Black Sea, and the big corporations could not compete with the Russian gas and oil. Therefore, they impose sanctions through their bought politicians to themselves, which is the European Union. In this case, had to impose sanctions on themselves, so they can't buy a lot of little nets here. They cannot buy Russian oil. Therefore, they could penetrate, they being these guys, the Western interest, with their product, probably less quality and much more expensive, not probably, 100%, much more expensive. They could penetrate the European market. Hungary said, well, we have our resources from Russia. If you provide us with other places where we can buy them, we will look at the options. Well, guess what? France is providing that help. That means the Hungarians will give up the Russian gas and will buy French gas. And I don't know where France has gas, do you know? I mean, unless they eat a lot of cabbage, I don't know where they have gas. But hey, let's read this first article. All right, let's go in the sun, because if you stay in the shade, it seems like these nets are everywhere. So Hungary chooses French gas over Russian. Record LNG deal signed. Why do you think they chose it? It's not because the French natural gas or LNG, liquefied natural gas, is better or cheaper. No, they were made to, and probably they will get some perks out of that, and they will be allowed to receive some money from the European Union, the blackmail. So there you have it. Let me put my glasses. All right. Hungary has signed the largest liquefied natural gas LNG purchase agreement in its history with French company Engie. All right? The second such deal in 2 months to help diversify. No, get rid, competition, capitalism. What's up? Sakeda. French company. The second such deal in 2 months to help diversify its energy supply and reduce dependence on Russia. But if you reduce dependence on Russia, don't you increase dependence on France? And why would that be okay? Who says France is a good country? Or the guys in charge of France? After all, they just boarded, like pirates, a tanker in the, off their coast of France, which was in the international waters, and arrested 2 guys over there. That's piracy. So just to mention one, look at France's history and see how good they were with their colonial killings in Africa. Political killings. So there you have, my friend. Last month, President Trump said he would urge Hungary to stop purchasing Russian oil. Well, I would like Hungary to urge the United States of America to stop buying Russian plutonium. It doesn't work that way. You know who the boss is. So again, capitalism. A country from a different, a president from a different country urges a country that depends on cheap oil and gas, urges to do what exactly? Who the fuck are you? Well, this is capitalism and equality and democracy in the world, in the Western world. Now let's go to Lithuania. Let me show you what happened in Lithuania. Lithuanian president sacks culture minister who did not know whether Crimea is Ukrainian or Russian. Wait a minute. So that means if tomorrow I deny something obvious, first, as a culture minister, this is a political recognition here, right? It's a political recognition. I don't have to tell you anything who I recognize as or who I don't recognize as. So for that, for his free speech, for his personal opinions on one matter, he got sacked, he got fired. So that means if tomorrow, let's say they say, let's say we make it by law in America, Israel is the greatest country ever in the world and never has done anything wrong to anybody, and they all hate Israel because Israel is too good. All right, let's say they make this law. They're very close to make it. Remember, they make here elected officials sign allegiance towards the state of Bababab, that they will not agree to impose sanctions on the state of. All right, so that's how it goes. We get it. We're getting there. So freedom of speech, my ass, in the Western world. So here, this guy said, I don't know if Crimea is Russian or Ukrainian. And besides, why do I care? So Crimea is not part of Lithuania. Why do I care? Well, I guarantee you they will make it illegal here about what I said about Israel, and then you will lose your job if you don't know that Israel is the perfect country in the world and the best one and never done anything wrong to anybody. The same thing is here. The same thing is here. So that means, for my personal opinions, he didn't take, that was not a policy. There was not a policy. He's a culture minister. Do you think that all these cultural ministers in the world agree to everything? They're all unanimous in their agreement to whatever, let's say, state of Palestine. I have to remind you that in this world, it's about 160 countries that recognize Israel out of 193. What are you doing with the other ones? Are you going to arrest them? What are you going to do? So the same, 150 some countries recognize Palestine and the rest don't. So what are you going to do? Let's say the United States of America doesn't recognize Palestine, let's say. And I'm going to go and say, let's say I work for someone. And I say, you know what? I recognize the state of Palestine. Should I be fired for that? Should I be fired for that? Even if I'm a culture minister, what does it matter? I have no power to, I'm entitled to any opinion, any assessment. as long as it's not a policy. So this is democracy and freedom of speech. Lithuanian culture minister resigns after unable to say whether Crimea is Ukrainian or Russian. That means he says, I don't know, I don't deny, I don't confirm, you're fired. Remember, when you go in an investigation, at least you go in an investigation and they ask you about the, I have to tie my shoe. I don't want to show you my underwear here. So when you go over there and they say, well, what's the reporting source? Is this this? Is this that? Who did it? You're not going to say yes. You're not going to say no. You're going to say, I can't confirm or deny. That's it. That's your response. That means I'm not going to say either way. But this guy said the same thing. He got fired because he didn't give the right answer he was expected. That's what it is. Then Czech elections test countries pro-EU, pro-Ukraine stance. And we have here a billionaire, a Czech, actually Slovak billionaire, who has a party who now gets about 30% of the votes. He's going to probably get in power and get, like Geert Wilders in the Netherlands, going to get a majority coalition. But they will say, you cannot be the prime minister, you cannot do anything about it. All right, hoppa. We got over there a little car coming on the road. There are a lot of buggies coming around here, not on my place here, but nevertheless on the road close to my property. And let me see who they are. Well, there were our dirt bikes. All right, good. That's gonna provide me with a lot of entertainment later when I'm gonna have my scope on them. I'm just kidding. Anyway, so from time to time they come over. So what's going on here? In Czech Republic is gonna happen the same thing it happened in Romania and in Moldova. The European Union divides the topic, the ideology, the reasons, the sides in every country now as pro-European or pro-Russian. There's no other alternative. You think so? Just between you and I tell you, as a human being, what are your first priorities? I tell you that if I'm pro-Russian or pro-European Union, plays it's not on the first, let's say, 50 points in my voting decision. I have many other things that there's, for instance, freedom of speech is the first one. Freedom of carrying and owning guns freely, not with all this shit these guys are putting, comprehensive gun reform and all. These are the two. Corruption out, a good economic competition-based economy, a democracy, a limited democracy, that is not every baboon has full votes. I wrote that in my book, A Better Society, that you can find it on Amazon. I wrote 3 books, go and check them out. So here you have, my friends, these guys are trying to paint the fight or the people voting about Russia and pro-European, like Russia is the tyrant and European Union is that beautiful light of freedom, democracy and capitalism. BS. So test pro-EU, pro-Ukraine stance. Like Ukraine is the same thing as the European Union. I actually would change, okay, thank you very much. I would change very much the European Union as it stands right now. It is a new Soviet Union. That's what the European Union is right now. So Czech parliamentary elections are being held over 2 days with polling stations open from The first results are expected on Saturday. So members are choosing 200 members, trapa. The country is currently led by pro-European and pro-Ukrainian forces. Petr Pavel, he was the general in NATO, so you know who's in charge of him. All right, and he's a guy, whatever. And the government of Prime Minister Petr Fiala, leader of the Liberal Civic Democratic Party. But the elections could change that dramatically. That means in a wars, of course, opening the door to a Eurosceptic and anti-Ukrainian government. So if you're not for your country, you have to be like this. if you say, I don't have anything to do with Ukraine, I'm not pro, I'm not against Ukraine. Ukraine is a different country, I don't even care. The only thing is my country. Oh, you're not Ukraine, you're not for, you have to say it, that you are pro-Ukrainian, because that means you're pro-European. And we have this guy, let me just get my goggles up. And we have this guy who is a populist, leading with roughly 30% is ANO, the Populist Party of billionaire Andrej Babiš. I think that's Babiš, a Slovak-born businessman, a former Communist Party member, worth more than $4 billion. So you see, they already did a job on the guy. Maybe he's a homosexual. If he were a homosexual, they would not mention it. Why? This guy has to be portrayed as bad. That is, he's got money, he's a populist, he's anti-European, skeptical, and anti-Ukraine. There you have it. He's not your guy. And he's Slovak. He's not even Czech, man. Not even Czech. You got it? There he is. Remember, his name is, where is it? Babiš. I don't know if that's the way you and he's a billionaire. You can't have that. Let's go to Trump. U.S. Treasury unveils draft design of coin with Trump's profile. Let me show you the Trump's profile. This is the new coin. And I'm okay with that. Fuck him. I mean, emperors have that. You see that? Fight, fight, fight. God we trust. What God? Moses. Why not Thor and others? Because we're owned. Judeo-Christian. Okay. The agency is considering using the incumbent president's image to commemorate 250 years of America's independence. Good job. All right. So that's it. We have kings. Well, it's okay. We have JFK. We have Lincoln. We have all these guys. I think it's appropriate. Only 28% of Americans believe that TV, radio, and newspapers report news accurately, an opinion poll has indicated. Trust in U.S. media at historic low, Gallup says. 28% express a great deal of fair amount of trust in newspaper, television, and radio, down from 31% last year. 45% 5 years ago, and almost 70% in the 1970s. So in the 1970s, they believed 170%. Last year, 5 years ago, 40%. Last year, 31%. Right now, 28%. What does that mean? And what could happen? Well, what could happen? This is what could happen. And the reason is internet. This is it. They lost it. This little CIA operated and created means of control and communication. That's how I think it was in its initial intent. Got out. The genie is out of the box, or whatever you want to call it. So what did they try to do it? To control it. And how do they control it? They go to the owners and they create different kind of media. They will create different kind of social media platforms already owned, put in place by these guys, operated by their agents or former agents. So they will take over, and then they will little by little create groups of people, groups of ideas that should be detested, will be deemed called dangerous, and they should be banned. And for instance, you're gonna call people extremists first. Right now it's far right, that's what it is. Next is gonna be extremist. Next is gonna be possible threat. Next is gonna be terrorist, and then banned. That's what's gonna happen. And if you dare to say that you don't know, or you're not certain if Crimea is Russian or Ukrainian, they will possibly incarcerate you, because you definitely can't hold this kind of opinions, or not even give your right opinion. And they will say you're by definition an extremist, and you can go and use something, and you create this and create that. Therefore, we're going to ban you. That's what they do. They will take over little by little. And you can see on YouTube how they take over with promoting certain imbeciles who were working for them, for the mass media, for mainstream mass media in the past. They got promoted. And when you're going to search for, let's say, Russia and Ukraine, the first, 3,594 suggestions given to you by the algorithms of YouTube will have all these operatives. And maybe after about 4,000 subjects, if you have time to scroll down 4,000, you're going to find me. Okay? And people like me. But by that time, you don't have time to scroll down. I know how many pages of, probably about 400 pages of, because if you have, let's say, 10 on a page, 400 pages of suggestions with all the Shapiros, all the O'Reillys, all the Chris Cuomos, all the Dan Lemons and other people like them who are, I would say, not working for us. They will be the first suggestions with millions of subscribers and millions of views. And they will tell you the same thing they told you when they worked for CNN, Fox News, and the same garbage that people don't believe. This is the infiltration. I should include Megyn Kelly as well in that. Not yet Tucker Carlson, not yet. Tucker Carlson is getting more cornered, and it seems like he is more feisty or feistier than before. It doesn't mean that he comes along, because remember, in order for people, for the, let's say, 72% out of what, 28, for the 72% to watch you, you have to tell certain things that you know they like. You know they like you to talk about in a certain, from a certain angle. So, like Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro tells you about 95%. It tells you what the conservatives want to hear, and the 5% they tell you about Israel and Putin in the wrong way, the way he's supposed to. So little by little he infiltrates his agenda. He's got an agenda. We all have an agenda, right? What's my agenda? Truth and justice. And then punishment, obviously, is justice. It means punishment. So, my friends, that's the way it is. They're gonna take over the internet little by little. And when you're gonna go and try to find something, you don't find it. Things that I used to find a long time ago, people that I watched every day on YouTube, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, I can't find anymore. Even if I put the right title that I know is like 90% of the title, paraphrasing, I don't find that guy. If I put, let's say, Dr. William Paka Paka, the first 3,000 suggestions are suggestions about ADL and racism and everything that I'm not looking for. I want to hear the guy. You can't. Why? He was deemed unacceptable to their agenda. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.